you see it? We got babies! We got the kids. Wait, what about the other kids? Oh, you're over here! All right, in this video, we're gonna be releasing a very special lobster to me. It's a lobster that we brought over to the Bar Harbor Oceanarium about 6 months ago. She was full of eggs at the time. We put it up to you guys to name her, and her name ultimately ended up being Claudia the Lobster. Claudia the Lobster was full of eggs at the time we caught her about 6 months ago, and we took her over to the Bar Harbor Oceanarium, where she was part of a hatchery program that was reestablished after years of being closed down. This hatchery program was in place back when my grandfather was fishing, actually. This is why it's special to me, is he used to be the one to collect the egg-bearing females from the ocean and bring them over to the Bar Harbor Oceanarium for the hatchery program. That hatchery program closed down for years, and now it's being opened back up for the first time. And I am collecting the eggers for the hatchery program. So it's kind of a full circle moment, and it's pretty special to me. So anyway, we brought Claudia over to the Oceanarium about 6 months ago, where the goal is to decrease the mortality in the eggs that hatch. So when the eggs first hatch, the little babies are stage 1, and they float suspended in the water column, and most of them get eaten by fish. Pretty much all of them, actually. They also cannibalize each other. The mortality is extremely high. Most of them die. The goal is to raise them through stage 1, 2, 3, and get them to stage 4. Once they're at stage 4, they are large enough to sink back to bottom, and they can hide in the rocks, and they're much safer from predators, and they have a much higher likelihood of surviving to adults. The long-term goal is to get more adult lobsters and decrease the mortality. So Claudia has been over at the Oceanarium now for the past 6 months, and she hatched her eggs out, and I would call it a success, especially for the first time back going with new technology. We're gonna continue doing this and continue learning with each stage, so it'll continue improving each year. We're gonna pick this up next spring again, but this year we hit on par with what the mortality is in the natural ocean, which is awesome. 3 of the eggs survived and grew up until stage 4. So we're actually headed over to the Oceanarium now to pick up Claudia, pick up the 3 babies, meet Ben, show you guys a little bit of the Oceanarium. Then we're gonna bring them back here, and we're gonna send them free back into the ocean where we caught Claudia 6 months ago. What do you think, boys? We're gonna go get Claudia and go get the baby lobsters and let them go home? Let's go, come on.
Hi.
Hello.
You brought your littles.
Yeah.
How cute.
You got the supervisors. Hello, Ben.
Nice to meet you.
Jacob, nice to meet you.
Come on in.
All right, hello.
Come on in, guys.
Right on over here. So if you want to see some of the baby lobsters.
Whoa.
So he actually just molted yesterday. So you can see the pieces of his old exoskeleton now.
How many times have they molted?
This guy, this is his 6th molting.
Oh.
So they've molted quite a few times. So
are they molting like once every couple of weeks?
Typically, yeah. It gets progressively further spaced as they go. So it's about 4 molts in the first month, and then it's like, another molt every month after that or so.
That's cool. You see that little baby lobster?
He's definitely been doing the best. He's really thriving. This guy just molted last week, so he's got a fresh new exoskeleton. It should be
that's a little tiny one.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They grow at different rates.
Yeah, once they start going around and are able to start grabbing stuff more often, that's when it becomes almost like, ooh, we got to start really feeding them more, because more food available to them, less likely they are to grab brothers and sister.
Yeah. In the box there, we've got another little guy, and he tried to molt last week, but he had some difficulties. It was somewhat stuck inside of the shell. So we had to actually pull him out and actually help him get out of the shell so he didn't suffocate.
Look at that one. As big as you are.
Well, the largest lobster ever formerly recorded was actually 3.5 feet long and weighed 45 pounds. So that would be a lobster that's probably a little bit bigger than you are. Yeah. These are our CREEPIEST lobsters. So this is Tangerine. He's one of the more outgoing of the bunch.
You've got 2 blue ones now?
Well, sort of. So this one's a true blue lobster. But that one, you see how she's
blueberry?
Yep, he's a lighter shade of blue with hints of pink and purple on him as well. So that's what they call a cotton candy lobster. And the rarities between those is very different. So blues like this will be found in about 1 in every 2 million lobsters, whereas cotton candies are close to 1 in every 100 million lobsters. So these
Daddy, the crab, Daddy.
Yeah, crab. Jake, have you ever seen a crab? No. Never seen a crab. Oh, there's a lobster over there. Look at that lobster. What do you see? Oh, yeah, a skeleton.
those are called awesome.
Look at all these feet. Look at how many feet he's got. Good. Look how big that thing is. It's up in his belly.
In my belly.
You can climb right in his belly, huh? It's a whale. Pretty cool, huh?
I talked to him. Oh my gosh!
couple of times in the past. Didn't do any of this.
It's good to see you again, Mama. How you been? It doesn't look like you're as happy to see me as I am you.
She's done real well in here. So she was a little bit shy for the first couple of weeks that we had her in, but once she got used to the exhibit, she was coming out. She's been eating for guests. She's been just an absolute pleasure to have here.
Awesome. See, she dropped all of her eggs. They're all gone.
Yep. So every one of them. So from there, she came in with around about 30,000 eggs or so. And we've been doing what we can to get those hatched over the course of the year. And so of those 30,000, funnily enough, only about 50 of them ended up actually hatching. And so that has been a really interesting exploration for us to try to figure out exactly what's going on from there. So we've got some ideas as to where the issues are, but our current theory is that the CO2 concentrations in the tank got a little bit elevated during the busier parts of the year. So people come in, they breathe the air in the exhibits around here, and that air dissolves into the water and increases the concentrations in there as well. From there, we've CO2 concentrations, when they dissolve into water, they can do all kinds of weird chemical reactions that can impact animals. But nobody's actually explored the impact that CO2 has on the hatching of lobster eggs. I found a couple of studies that looked at the impact it has on juveniles, and it's pretty minimal, but nobody's looked at the eggs specifically. So we're looking to formalize that in the upcoming year.
Interesting.
From there, though, we've got 3 juveniles that have survived this long, which is actually pretty average for their survival rate out in the wild. So we're calling this a success through and through, where we've got an average number of juvenile survival rates, and we've got a lot of good spots for exploration and future research.
Well, I would say for the first attempt at a hatchery program, that's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
I assume that her transition is going to be fairly easy.
I would assume so as well. From there, I do know that animals can get adapted to living in captivity if we have them for too long. Claudia, she's not had a lot of direct human contact with us or the public around, and she hasn't really, I don't think that she's lost the wild spark in her.
Well,
So
she's still got it. So when we send her back into the ocean here in just about an hour,
she should be fine, and she's been one of the feistiest lobsters I've ever worked with in the whole time.
she was pretty aggressive when I just reached in.
I don't think that she'll have any issues going back up to the
She'll
wild.
come out, just running at me with those claws.
That's why we picked her.
You're right.
We picked her because
She was, yeah. She was feisty, healthy, and full of eggs when we found her. So she'll be back home in the Gulf of Maine in about an hour. She's going to probably go find a big oversized male to hang out with.
I'm sure she'll find a nice cave to hide out in, and it'll probably be a little bit of a transition to get back in the wild as well, but I'd say if you send her home with a snack, she shouldn't have
Oh
any
yeah,
issues.
we're going to give her a V-notch too, of course.
Of course.
Cool.
From there, she's a big animal. That so 30,000 eggs. That's probably the least eggs that she's going to have the rest of her life.
Right.
Because they just get more as they get bigger. So
She's got a long future of breeding ahead of her.
she'll do a lot of good for the population.
Yeah. So I suspect that the time that she's been here, she's been eating well.
Yeah, no, she's been eating fantastically. The first couple of days that she was in here, she was definitely a bit camera shy. She was still getting used to a new environment. But we'd offer food to her, we'd leave it in overnight, and we'd come back the next day, and all the shells were all crunched open. So we could tell that she was eating them for sure.
Mostly clams?
Clams and mussels mostly, as well as some shrimp as well.
Yep.
So it's been a lot of fun to watch as well, because she's got a good strong crusher claw. So
She's a very strong, healthy lobster for
we've
sure.
got one video where you can hear the shell cracking open. I'm not sure if you heard that on camera, but the crunch was audible out here.
Well, it's cool to hear about what you've learned by observing it and what we could learn from future. It'll be cool to study that carbon thing further, especially for applications, like you said, of in the ocean.
Well, yeah, because
Like,
what we're seeing
nobody's
is,
ever studied that, which is
not that I found it. That's
pretty crazy.
I could have missed the papers, but from there, it's got some potential broad-reaching applications, because we're seeing a similar effect to the building, but on a global scale. As we put carbon emissions into the atmosphere,
right.
we're seeing CO2 concentrations increase in the ocean, and if that impacts the ability of eggs to survive, that'd be a
could
big
be a
deal.
big, yeah, it's something good to learn.
So I hope that I'm wrong, but
Right, exactly.
but it would be it'll be good to know either way.
So yeah, it might be interesting next year if we continue this program. Could be interesting to compare one with a higher carbon concentrate, like a tank with a higher one versus one isolated with none.
What I'd really like to do next year is over here replace this with like a whole experimental setup, having a bunch of different flasks with different concentrations of air going into them. Have some lobster eggs in each one of those, so we can try out different carbon concentrations and see
how it
directly
affects.
what impacts it has. Because truthfully, at the moment we have exactly one lobster's worth of data, which is
Right.
really not very much.
Yeah.
So we could be entirely
Could have just
wrong.
been bad egg, yeah, anything.
But that's
stress or whatever.
but that's the scientific method in a nutshell. You make an observation and you make a guess as to what happened, and then do a
Recreate
formalized
it,
experiment
recreate
and
it,
see if you
recreate
can figure it out.
Well, Claudia, it's great seeing you. I'm going to set you back in the tank for now. We're going to go check out your babies. Next time I put you in the water, it'll be back in your home.
This is the hatchery system right here. And this one's, so I know that your grandfather used to donate lobsters to the Oceanarium for the hatchery. This one's kind of an updated version of that system. These are utilizing some pseudochrysals, which are tanks specially designed to keep baby lobsters or baby animals suspended. And this has the advantage of allowing us to put a filtration system on it as well. So this is a brand new setup from what was previously run here at the Oceanarium. So it's been a lot of fun, like studying this and learning all the nuances of the system and figuring out exactly what these little guys need to survive. When they first hatch, they turn into these little shrimp-like guys, and they float around in the water for about a month as plankton, just free-floating. They're very, very small, about the size of a grain of rice. And they'll go through a couple of molts in the water, and once they reach their fourth molt, they turn into stage 4 lobsters, and that's when they start sliding down into the bottom. So the pseudochrysal tanks here are specialized in keeping the little guys suspended, and then once they get to that stage 4, they can start sitting down on the bottoms of the tanks.
When they're in these stages, they're extremely vulnerable to all the
Exactly,
fish and
yes.
everything in the
So-
water. That's the objective of these, is to get them to this stage before we release them.
From there, out in the wild, only about 1 in 10,000 eggs will actually make it this
To that
far.
stage.
So from there, we got 3, so we're right in
We're on
line with
par.
what we'd see out in the
Right.
wild. But from there, 1 in 25,000 eggs is estimated to make it to adulthood. So that tells you that once you get to this stage, rather than 1 in 10,000, it's like half of them are expected to survive. So
Gotcha.
their survival rate at this point is much, much better.
Okay.
So getting them through these early stages, that's really the key to giving them a good life out in the wild.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, that's super cool. Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of this. We're the return of the hatchery program.
Thanks
like
a lot
you
for
said.
your help.
Yeah, my grandfather used to bring the eggers over for the old program, so it's special to be part of the new program. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. I'm super excited to go release them. We're headed out right now to release Claudia and her 3 babies back into the water. We're releasing 2 of them today, right? One of them staying here.
Yeah, we got one staying here. He had some difficulty with his last molt, and so his claws are still stuck. He's pretty clumsy right now, so we're going to keep a hold of him until he gets through at least 1 more molt, and he should be good to go after that.
Okay, so Billy is staying here in the tank. We're gonna take Jeff and Susie to go release them off the boat right now. We're gonna let the kids set them free. Ben, you're welcome to come join us if you'd like.
I would love to.
Let's go get them in the water. All right, Claudia, it's time to go home.
Tuck her in some seaweed too, so she's good and moist for the trip.
Perfect. Next stop, the ocean. So let's go. Oh crap, we forgot the kids. How are we getting them?
Well, we're gonna need to get a net out and get rid of the ladder, so let's scoop them up.
That's cool.
So when they're young like this, they kind of swim in this sort of Superman pose with their claws outstretched in front of them. Mm-hmm. So from there,
Do you guys want to let it go or put it in a soup?
Let it go.
You want to let it go? Suppose they're too small to tell if it's male or female.
I see it, Daddy.
You see it? We got babies! We got the kids. Wait, what about the other kids? Oh, over here! All right, we are running a tight time crunch. The sun is setting, we're racing the light. We got Claudia, we got the babies, we're going to release them. We got the 2 babies. Claudia, mama, here we go. I got the babies. The moment we've all been waiting for. You ready to let them go? Careful of the edge. Come sit right here with me. All right, boys, we're gonna let Claudia go first. Can you say Claudia? She's bringing some seaweed with her. All right, before we let Claudia go, we gotta give her a V-notch. The V-notch just signifies that she's capable of breeding. We know this is a breeding female. This V-notch will protect Claudia for the rest of her life. She'll be free to go breed and make a bunch more babies just like this for many years to come. This is one of many things we do here in Maine to keep the population sustainable for the future generations like these 2. We're gonna give her 2 pogies since this is, oh, maybe she's just gonna grab on extra hard to that one. All right, here we go. She's got 2. She's an extra special lobster. You ready, boys? You wanna push her in? Go ahead, give her a little push. There she goes. Oh, she let one go. She's got the other one. There she goes. All right, now the special moment. This has been 6 months in waiting. I'm super excited for it. We're gonna let the little baby lobsters go. We're right in super shallow. We're only in a few feet of water back here. So that way they have a short sink back to bottom where they can nestle right into the rocks and the seaweed and hide from any predators. We've got one lobster in each jug, one for each of my sons. What's kind of cool and makes this moment extra special is that these lobsters will take about 7 to 8 years before they reach the size that we're able to keep them. So 7 or 8 years is also about the time where there'll be student licenses if they choose to decide to pursue lobstering as a career. So these two in 7 or 8 years, I mean, it's a long shot, but it's a cool thought. So you guys could meet again in 7 to 8 years. These might be one of your first lobsters you catch. You see that little baby in there?
Yeah. That's gonna bite hard.
No, they can't bite. You
That's
got it?
gonna bite a chick.
Okay, now turn your hand right out here and set it in the water. You ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Look, there it goes. There it goes, buddy. Nice. All right, we got one more. Here we go. You ready, Jace? He won't bite you. Hold your hand out so the camera can see it. All right, here he goes. There he goes. They see you in 8 years. There he goes. Oh, he's swimming. He's going free. That's super cool. Well, super special moment right there. I don't really have many words for it. It's pretty cool. The fact that my grandfather used to be part of this program is coming back to life. I got the kids with me. The fact that in 8 years they could potentially catch him. Again, we're gonna continue this series next year. Ben's gonna take what he learned this year doing it. Next year, we'll see if we can get above par for what the mortality is in the wild. But for the first year of doing this, I'd say it was successful. Thank you, Ben, for including me in this.
Thanks for your help. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. We'll see you in the next one.